So folks, good evening. It is a Monday, and so I hope everyone's been doing well. You weren't too snowed in over the weekend, and you accept the fact that this year we do have a real winter. It's been a while, so yeah, we're back. And so the first question I have is, do we have representatives for 9 Newkirk Plaza and also 1584 Flatbush Avenue here? Okay, thank you very much for that. So then let me start with the person whom you're representing then. So give me a second here. All right, so then this public hearing is called to order on February 10th, 2025 at 6:32 p.m. at the East Midwood Jewish Center at 1625 Ocean Avenue in Brooklyn. And so the purpose of this hearing is to hear public testimony with respect to an application submitted by Joanne Raynone, doing business as JoJo Show LLC for an adult use retail dispensary license at 1584 Flatbush Avenue. And if folks are trying to situate themselves where it is, it's basically right by the junction, just before you hit the intersection of Avenue H and Flatbush, on the same side of the street as like that Bank of America and also like that teriyaki place where the Models used to be. So that's the area that we're talking about. And so the Community Board 14 office, we received notification on December 20th, 2024, and the state of New York allows 30 days, should the board wish to express an opinion, to the Cannabis Control Board. For this application, we have received an extension to hear the matter this evening. So if members of the public wish to testify on this issue, you can register for time by signing up at the back with Patricia. Please state clearly for the record your name and whether you are a resident of CB14 or representing an organization. And so we will first hear from Rich, who is here on behalf of JoJo Show LLC. And so Rich, if you could come up to the podium, please. Thank you very much.
Tell a little bit about...
Quick introduction and the business plan.
Sure. Quick introduction is JoJo Show. You are correct. It is in that exact area. It's the Vitamin Shop location that we'll be taking over. It's going to be... Sure. It's going to be a Days Cannabis. Days currently has a store operating in Union Square as well as 2 in Massachusetts. We've operated in Union Square since April of 2023. Originally opened up as a pop-up under the cardholder program. And then we stayed open until July of 2023, closed down, did a full rebuild, and reopened in November of that same year. And we've been open under the full rebuild for just over a year. Extremely compliant, never had any issues. Recently had an inspection, passed it with flying colors, and we have security from 8 a.m. till 1 a.m. Our hours of operation. We'll do something very similar to this location, and that's really about it.
Okay, thank you for that. So let me just read back some of the stuff you said, and you correct me if I took any incorrect notes. And so, first thing is you mentioned it's going to be specifically the Vitamin Shop. Second thing is, you said JoJo Show LLC is operating under...
DBA Dazed.
Okay, DBA Days, as in D-A-Y-S or D-A-Z-E?
D-A-Z-E-D.
Okay, D-A-Z-E-D. That's the DBA. Okay, thank you. Second thing, you said you have 2 locations in Massachusetts and also 1 in Union Square.
Correct.
The 1 in Union Square was operating from April 2023 till when under the card?
It was a pop-up under the card program. We were the 5th store to open up in New York City.
Okay.
We opened from April 2023 to the 4th of July 2023. They closed us down to do the full build-up. We reopened in November of 2023, and we've been open under the full build-out since then.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And then the other thing you mentioned too was so far you've had no issues, and so can you clarify what you mean by having had no issues? Do you mean specific?
From a safety standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah. There's never. A lot of people might think that dispensaries have a lot of trouble surrounding them, but it's actually been quite the opposite. We first opened our store in Massachusetts in August of 2021. So I guess that's about 4 full years now we've been open, and we've never had any issues at any of our stores.
Got you. And then for the New York store in Union Square, when you say no issue, so that means you have no citations from FDNY, from whatever the local precinct is, like, I guess, no calls or concerns from, I guess, local schools in the area or anything like that? I'm just wondering.
No, we did have one unknown citation that we had for music being played of some sort. But I believe, and I spoke to the ticket was almost a year old, and I was like, this had to be the restaurant next door because we didn't have a speaker outside, so I don't know where that was coming from. But we just paid the fine. But yeah, we did have one citation.
Got you. Thank you for that. And then when you mentioned the security, could you, my follow-up question for you is, could you describe like the security you currently have in place for your Union Square facility? And then can you also tie that to, I think you said the proposed location recently passed an inspection?
Yeah, so
tie those two together. Yeah.
There's two ways to do security. You either do it internally, which is, typically just a regular person that you would hire to check IDs and stuff like that, or you can hire an external security company. We chose to go the latter, just to kind of give it a little bit more heightened security in the store to let people know, the customers that come in, that there is a security presence. So we have an outside security company who are trained security guards inside the store. And we're going to do the same here at this location as well.
Got you. Thank you for that. And then my last question, and thank you for your patience with this. My last question is, when you said that the location at Flatbush Avenue recently passed inspection, what does that mean?
Well, what I clarify.
If I misstated that, then
I meant in Union Square that
okay.
it recently had an inspection, a compliance inspection, and we passed the compliance portion of that inspection.
Got you. So the Union Square one had passed, not the proposed location. Okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry for misstating. And thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
Do board members have any additional questions for the representative? And so, Board Member Claire-Jean.
What are the proposed hours for this location?
We haven't dialed in the hours yet. I mean, typically we'll look at the surrounding businesses, the restaurants, and try to mirror their hours. But I can tell you we typically open at 8 a.m., probably go to 11 p.m., possibly midnight, potentially later. Again, I'd have to look at the other surrounding restaurants and bars and stuff like that to see what's going on in that area during those times.
Okay. Your Union store closes at 1 a.m.?
Closes at 1 a.m., yeah.
Thank you for that. Are there any other board members with additional questions for Rich? Yes.
Rich, yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, just could you tell us a little bit about your role in the organization and whether or not you plan on being on sites and just how your role intends to function?
Yeah, I'm an owner-operator of Dazed, and yeah, I'm at the store all the time, to be honest with you. We'll hire retail managers, a bunch of assistant managers and employees underneath that crew, but I do come in, I do handle the day-to-day. Very involved in the business, myself and my two other partners. So we have a really good team to go to this location. It's kind of turnkey.
Thank you for that. District Manager Campbell.
Hi, nice to meet you. The store would be inside the Business Improvement District. I just wanted to see if you were aware of that, if you've reached out to the bid, and if not, if you would like an introduction to the bid director.
We would love an introduction, please, yes. We any help that we can get on that front, absolutely.
They're a good organization.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from board members? Okay. And so, hearing none, the question I have, so usually, heads up for you, Rich, and so at this community board, when we look at any OCM applications, we look at it basically in two parts, like a question about the validity of the applicant and also like the validity of the location, right? And so I'm first gonna ask the question about like the applicant, and then I'm gonna ask a question about the location.
Sure,
Okay.
makes sense.
So, seeing no other questions, do I have a motion to approve the applicant, JoJo Show LLC? Okay, and so All those in favor of approving the applicant, Jojo Show please raise your hands. Any opposed? Okay, so now, any abstentions? Okay, wait, see, 3 abstentions. Okay, thank you. So now the next question is, do I have a motion to approve the location of 1584 Flatbush Avenue? Okay, and so all those in favor of the proposed location of 1584 Flatbush Avenue, can you please raise your hand? Do I have any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you very much, folks. And so just to let folks know what the recommendation was. So the recommendations were to approve the applicant Jojo Show LLC for the location at 1584 Flatbush Avenue. And so, Rich, what this means is this is just a public hearing. And so in our general board meeting, I'm going to summarize this, and then I'm going to put those recommendations before the full board. And then whatever the outcome is of that decision, that is the decision that we will then share with OCM. So that's the idea. So for you, like, if you wanted, you could stay basically until we got to that part, or you could head out, and then whatever the decision was, we would notify you. But this doesn't mean the board has officially decided, right? It's the first part. So just giving you a context of like what the next step is.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for hearing us out, and we look forward to being good corporate neighbors.
Sure, no problem. Thank you so much, Rich.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yep. So that concludes, oh, wait, yeah. Board Member Prezant?
Sort of a question for us.
Yes.
How long has it been since cannabis has been legal now?
I mean, MRTA that act was passed, I think, in like, what, late 2021? Murder, right? I think it's been around a couple years now.
I'm just sort of curious to know if OCM has any stats thus far on how successful it has been. Because if there's the one legal dispensary that's on the church just off Flatbush, that's where there's this gym. It never seems like there's been traffic in it. Versus, the few illegal ones, and I have to give them a huge credit for the shutdown as many as they have. But you see people always sort of skirting the illegal ones. I just don't see as much business going into the legal ones. So I'm curious if OCM, what the projections have been, can you maybe just sort of update us on that?
I can speak on that if you'd like,
Oh,
very
sure,
shortly. The OCM just passed, or the state of New York just passed $1 billion in sales. So pretty much is relatively successful, I would say.
Clearly, your interest in opening another location speaks to.
Well, I mean, the truth is that there's no gold rush, there's no green rush, or whatever people want to say it. In the end, it's just, you got to open it up and you got to work your butt off, your tail off, just like every other business. I mean, that's just a fact. Locations do matter. Everything matters, to be honest with you. The neighborhood you're in matters, but for the most part, it has been a successful program. Yes, we were the 5th store to open up in New York City. I always say we were the 2005th store to open up in New York City because there was about 2,000 unlicensed stores. The truth is, they weren't illegal stores, they were unlicensed. But they've done a great job shutting the majority of those stores down. There's still a few open. There's still, I'm sure there's bodegas out there still selling pre-rolls on the side and stuff. But for the most part, they've done a fantastic job shutting them down. And a lot of these stores have seen a spike in numbers since they started closing those down. And it's honestly just consumer education. The majority of the customers walking around the streets didn't understand the difference between an unlicensed dispensary and a licensed dispensary. So I think that now there's just a little bit more information about that, and the licensed stores are becoming more popular.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for that as well, too.
Are there any other questions? I don't know if I'm supposed to ask that, but. All right, thank you, everybody.
I think you're good, Rich. Thank you. Okay, great. So that concludes the public hearing regarding the applicant for 1584 Flatbush Avenue at 6:47 PM. And so, give me a second here. Let me get notes. Okay, and so let me end that one, and then now we will start the next one. And so this public hearing is called to order on February 10th, 2025 at 6:47 PM at East Midwood Jewish Center, 1625 Ocean Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11230. And so the purpose of this hearing is to hear public testimony, with respect to an application submitted by Adam Zakari, doing business as One Stop Deli and Candy Store Incorporated for an adult use retail dispensary license at 9 Newkirk Plaza. And so to situate where this proposed location is, it's on the same side of the plaza as Fisherman's Cove and the pizza place, if you're at Newkirk Plaza, right? So that's the side of the plaza that it is. And so the Community Board 14 District Office, we received notification on December 18th, 2024. The state of New York allows 30 days should the board wish to express an opinion to the Cannabis Control Board. For this application, CB14 requested and received a 30-day extension to hear the matter this evening. And so if members of the public wish to testify on this issue, please register for time by signing up at the back with Patricia or Sarah. And please state clearly for the record your name and whether you are a resident of CB14 or representing an organization. And so my question is, would we be hearing from the applicant themselves or the representative for the applicant?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So my name's Danny Holkauer. I would be the manager of that location, so I'm here to field any questions if you have any. I believe we did send a proposal with all the details to the Community Board 14. It was sent out today. It should have all the details from security to all the necessary paperwork that we need to submit, so it should have been submitted as well to CB14.
All right, so thank you for that. So give me a second real quick. So did we get the materials?
I'm opening an email that was arrived at 5:50 PM, so it has not been reviewed because we were.
Okay, so that's one piece, so thank you for that. Yeah, so,
It looks as though it's mostly the information that was on the application that was received in our office in December.
okay, cool. And so, just like the last public hearing, I do have some questions, but let me not take over it first. And so, do any board members have any questions for the applicant? So I see Board Member Parker and then Board Member Sedgwick.
Just a request, since we emailed it out, if I would you mind giving just an overview of what was in that email so that we can kind of feel a question that we may have?
Sure. A bunch of the questions were asked and answered in the email, so if you'd like, I could read straight from that, just to make it simpler.
9 pages.
You don't gotta do on that page.
Yeah, no, just, I figured because we did, many of the common questions were in there and then answered already, so if anything, I'll just go through those quick. All right. So the name of the company is going to be One Stop Deli and Candy Store at 9 Newkirk Plaza, Brooklyn, New York. It's 11226. The store will provide high-quality cannabis products with mixtures of flower, pre-rolls, edibles, vape pens, and THC-infused beverages. Let's see.
Excuse me? Yes. Could you repeat the name again?
One Stop.
One Stop Deli and Candy Store?
Yes, One Stop Deli and Candy Store Incorporated. We're not within any houses, any distance of houses of worship or any schools. We are in a 1,000-foot radius of any premises of which there is a similar license. We will not be making any changes to the facade. Our target market are cannabis users between the ages of 25 and 55. Hours of operation will be 8 a.m. to about 10 p.m. What do businesses on the plaza think about the dispensary? We did get quite a few signatures from our neighbors. We're not going to be a candy store, by the way. It's just the name of the LLC, but it's not going to be a candy store. Most of the businesses in the plaza fully support the dispensary. They recognize the significant economic benefits of a dispensary will have on the plaza. We did attach the petition with names of different businesses. Licensed cannabis stores are strictly regulated. You do not allow on-site consumption and educate customers on responsible use, meaning they won't be an increased public smoking any more than liquor store increases public drinking. Rejecting a legal business won't stop the cannabis, but it will push sales to the unregulated black market, which lacks oversight and accountability. We do have a security plan all in place. We have the credentials of the security company in that email as well.
So why this name, One Stop Deli and Candy Store, if you're selling cannabis?
It's just the name of the LLC.
But it's kind of misleading.
And their children go to candy store.
Yeah.
Well,
That's fine.
it's just the name of the It's not the actual name of the business. It's just the name of the LLC.
Oh. What's
Oh,
the
we didn't
DBA?
come up with a DBA just yet. But
Okay.
it's not going to be like a candy store or anything.
But will it say?
No, it won't have any, so basically,
Sorry, we received that license under that name, under that corporation name, so there's not gonna be in the sign or
Yeah.
anything. I have nothing to do with it, we just received that license under that corporation.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we changed it to a different name.
And so, Ornella, did you get your question answered, like the kind of summary?
The group started asking questions.
So,
Teamwork there.
okay,
what it's all about.
okay, got it. So then, Board Member Sapgir, you had a question as well? Okay, got it. And so I see Board Member Alfonso, and then also Board Member Gray. So,
So my two questions, so the current business is Cannabis Road there, are you changing that name?
we're not currently affiliated with the business that's there.
Right. And can you give us details of the security plan?
So,
The document, we didn't get a chance to see it?
yeah, absolutely. So we do have a very professional security company hired with experience in the cannabis industry. New York State requires us to design specific security elements such as double doorways, checking IDs, armed security guard. There's also a disconnect between the cashier area and where the products come from, so it's very tight. But we do have a professional security service with a good amount of experience in the field at our disposal.
thank you for that. Did that answer your question, Carissa, or? Okay, so then I have Board Member Gray and then Board Member Person.
Yes, so you said that the current business that's currently at this address, you are not affiliated with.
No.
So is this, the current location, is it in operation? Is it on a lease? Is it ending? Like, how are you?
The
acquiring
current
it? Yes,
operation?
current.
I don't know how the current operation is.
The lease is ending?
Yeah.
Okay,
So they have no lease.
okay. That's what I was.
Okay, so I have Board Member Person.
Do you run any other dispensaries, and if not, what is your previous business experience?
I don't actually have any real experience with the legal cannabis industry or the cannabis industry in general. This is kind of my first time. But I do have management experience, and we're just going to work from there. A lot of these industries, there really wasn't kind of a foundation to start with because cannabis had been illegal for so long that there really wasn't a way for people like us to get into the industry. So this is kind of like a starting point, but we do have things to work with. There have been a couple of years now that the state has had the industry going. So there is somewhere to start with. We do have an idea, I do have management experience, so we're just going to start with that, build it up. You're very welcome.
Okay, so I see Board Member Parker. You have questions again, right? Yep.
Yeah. So there is a current cannabis operation at this location, and you guys are,
business there, but we're not affiliated with it, so I really don't want to speak on what they do.
No, I'm just
Oh.
stating because my question's coming after. My question is, how is it that you guys are selecting to operate in the same, Yeah. How did you guys come about choosing that location if there's already another cannabis operation there? And then how is it that you guys are going to be taking over that location if there is currently a cannabis operation in that location?
Well, the lease of the current leasee is ending, and we're going to be taking over the business when their lease ends.
But you guys are not affiliated in any way? No
We're not affiliated, no.
Do I have any additional questions from board members? Okay, and so, okay. And so, hearing none, so a heads up for you. Actually, yes, I do have a question. And so, like you mentioned, this is your first time into this specific field, but you have management experience before. And so, could you share with us some of the prior management experience you're talking about, and what are the pieces that you think will help you for this proposed venture?
So I have previous experience. I used to work in Coney Island at Luna Park for many, many years. Before this, I worked for the city.
Yep.
But basically, when I worked for Luna Park, I was a manager of a crew. I worked for the group sales department. So I was doing event planning, marketing, sales. I had all three of that going on, as well as managing a staff, taking payments, keeping everybody on course. So I do have the experience with that.
Got you, thank you for that. And so, like you'd mentioned earlier, you would be the manager of the store, and so does this mean that, so I'm just thinking like, on a hypothetical typical day, does this mean you would be the one who would be opening the shop and then closing the shop, or that, you know, you would be there for opening day, and then it would be the staff that you oversee that would then be responsible for, you know, the daily operations, and then you would come in from time to time just to make sure that things were running and helping them out? Like where in that hypothetical, you know, spectrum would you be, right?
I plan to be very hands-on. This is a very new industry. It's the opportunity to get in on something from the ground floor. I want to be there every single day, watching over everything, watching my staff, building a relationship and a rapport with the customers. I'm from Coney Island. I'm from New York City. I'm a Brooklynite. This is my home. You have an opportunity like this, I'm not going to squander it. I am going to be there and on top of everything.
Got you, thank you for that. And so one more question for you, so then to build off of that, so like, hypothetical exercise, so like the security plan, and like you said, you guys had hired an external, if I remember correctly, your proposed plan is to hire like an external security entity who has been vetted by New York State. Did I state that correctly?
Correct. We do have somebody lined up, and they do have extensive experience dealing with the cannabis industry. So we definitely look forward to using their expertise in this.
Got you. So then the hypothetical I have, and you know, I'm hoping you'd be able to answer this. So like, let's say I'm a teenager. I pop out of the queue at Newkirk Plaza, right? And whatever your store is, it's there. It's not Cannabis World anymore. So then, what does it look like security-wise? Like, will I be able to actually enter the establishment and make a purchase, or I wouldn't even be able to actually enter the establishment, right? Like, what would that actually look like?
So you wouldn't be able to enter the establishment. You would walk in, there'd be double doors, so you'd kind of walk into what would look like a foyer area. There would be a security guard there who's going to check your ID, he's going to scan it. You also get put into the New York State database. And if the security guard finds your ID is in order, you're over 21, then you're more than welcome to continue in. Otherwise, you're going to be sent right back out.
Okay, got you. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
I have a question from District Manager Campbell.
Good evening. Two questions, really.
Sure.
Do you already know that you have possession of this location or will have possession of this location? And have you applied at this location? Have you or anybody in your group, your party, applied? Have you been applicants previously at all in the district and at this location specifically?
Yeah, so we have the lease for this location already. We got it last month. So,
And it commences when? When does that lease begin?
in January 25, starting with this year. So we got the license already. That's what we asked.
I have a follow-up question, and so two things. So first of all, could you also introduce yourself? Like, we know this is Danny Holkauer. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Holkauer.
Holkauer?
Holkauer, yes.
Holkauer, okay, sorry for butchering your name, I apologize. Could you also introduce yourself as well to the group?
Yeah, I'm Victor Alside, and I'll be working with them too, and I'm managing the place with them.
So Victor, thank you very much for introducing yourself. So then, I do have a question about that date, because I'm a little confused, because if I heard you correctly, you guys do have the lease for the entity at 1584 Flatbush Avenue, and that lease, you guys took over that lease in January of 2025, is that correct?
Yes.
But then Cannabis World is currently operating, and you said that lease is going to expire, and you're not affiliated with them. So how can both things be true at the same time?
I mean, they lease ended, and they work in probably some type of deal with him, but we take over the place as soon as we receive the permit for the construction. That's when our time is gonna start counting.
So if I understand you correctly, you have a lease that's in the name of One Stop Deli and Candy Shop, and that starts January 2025, but you really don't, that lease doesn't really kick in until the current tenant, Cannabis World, leaves, and then you guys get the permit to build? Am I understanding that correctly?
No, so.
Like, I'm trying to understand the situation and
Sure.
stuff here.
So basically, the lease was paid for.
By whom, you or Cannabis World? Or,
No, by us.
okay.
The security deposit and everything.
Mhm.
And we're getting 2 months for free for construction.
Mhm.
The 2 months starts as soon as we receive the permit for construction. And we're still waiting for it. So as soon as we receive the permit, our 2 months start for free, the construction, and then after that, we have to pay.
And is your permit for construction dependent upon OCM giving you a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or is it independent of that?
No, the construction, we could start the permit as soon as we receive it, we could start the construction.
So then, the reason I'm also confused is because if that were with that thought exercise, like, let's say you got the permit at the end of February and you started building, but you hadn't heard from OCM yet in terms of whether or not they approved you, you'd be in a situation where you could be building a cannabis shop that the state would consider illegal because they hadn't approved you yet. But then is the approval independent or dependent of OCM?
OCM have to.
Okay. Oh, no.
The other question was, did you make an application at this location previously?
I'm sorry?
Did you apply for OCM permit at this location previously, or is this the first time you've made an application?
No, this is the first time we got the license.
Did you apply previously and get denied?
No, we just got this license.
Are there plans to maybe file an eviction notice to the current tenant since they're occupying space that you have the lease on?
No, I mean, if OCM approve us, we're gonna go with the lease. If OCM don't approve us, the landlord is willing to cancel the lease and probably give them a new lease. And that's the deal we all have together. Yes.
Okay. So thank you for that, Victor, and thank you for that, Daniel, as well, too. And so do I have any additional questions from board members? Okay, and so, oh, yes, Board Member Gray, yeah.
How long does OCM take to approve?
I don't know, because I feel like OCM and applicants, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think OCM has kind of been all over the map with their timelines and their rules and stays, so it's been hard to kind of track what the answer to that is.
OCM.
I do know that we are beyond, so we received their application on December 28th. We had 30 days to respond to it, but we asked for a 30-day extension, which is sort of the habit of the board office every time we get one. So we're pushing up on the 60 days to make a recommendation.
And I do, Victor and Daniel, I do have a question for you guys. And so could you guys, the information that you had shared with the board, Did it also include a copy of the lease from the landlord?
OCM has it.
Okay, OCM may have it, but do you guys have a copy as well, too, right?
I don't think we sent it to you guys, but we do have it.
Okay, cool, yeah, could you send a copy of that
I
documentation?
believe it's in the email. I'm looking at it now.
What, the lease,
Yeah, standard lease.
the actual lease itself? Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
all right, thank you. Okay, yeah.
My question is, when she asked you, did you have an application here before? Did you guys ever come to the board for approval on any other application?
We came before for application, but we still on the waiting list for that one. But then we received another license under this corporation. So we were never denied. So we just like on the waiting list.
Got you. And so, two things, and so, I'm trying to remember, I'm looking at a letter here because this location, this isn't, so the reason we're asking a lot of questions just because we're thorough and we thank you guys for your patience, but also because this is not the first time that we've had an applicant for this very location, and so I'm looking at a letter from February of last year, and there was an entity called Al Salulucor who had filed an application, an OCM application for this, and ultimately, we voted to reject the applicant, and then we also flagged concerns of the location for OCM. And so that's one of the reasons why we're asking all these questions, right? Just because we want to be sure of, hey, you're here before us, is there another time where you would come before us for either another entity or another location, right? And then the other thing that I want to ask as well too is, do I have any additional questions from board members? All right, I'll take two more. I'll take one from Board Member Parker and then one from, yeah.
Sorry, it's not specific to the applicant, it's in February when we flagged concerns about the location. Do you mind sharing what the status?
Sure, so this was a letter to Chair Tremaine Wright. This was from February 14th, 2024. We also said, I'm going to the paragraph that talks about the location, right? But basically we're saying, regardless of the applicant meeting this condition, there were continued concerns about the location of the proposed dispensary. Newkirk Plaza, where the dispensary would be located, is not a map street or an official public plaza. This raises challenges for general enforcement, and there are many extant quality of life issues. Specifically, it is not possible to impose no smoking rules in the plaza. The fact that the applicant currently operates a CBD store at this location also raised concerns. Furthermore, as has been the case with other applications, board members are frustrated with OCM's inability to enforce on the sale of cannabis at unlicensed locations. The proximity of such unlicensed locations to applicant addresses, as is the case here, undermines the 1,000-foot rule. And so this was the language that we had in that letter from February 14th of 2024 regarding our concerns with the location, the proposed location of 9 Newkirk Plaza. Okay, and then you have a question or comment, right?
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
The issues that we had on that other application last year, are they still valid now regarding Newkirk Plaza's inability to stop smoking and other things that were mentioned? Yes.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Board Member Dweck. And so I'll do a last call. Last one, Alfonso, and then I'll ask the board for a motion. Yep. So. Yeah, we get 1 30-day extension on top of the 30. Yeah. So that's it from that piece. And so so Daniel and Victor, heads up for you guys. For our community board, when we look at OCM applications, there's two components. There's the applicant and also the location, right? And so basically the stuff that we're gonna be voting on for this public hearing is recommendations for the applicant and the location. And then the recommendations that come here, right after this, we have a general board meeting, and then when I summarize this, in the general board meeting, that's when we're actually going to vote on that, and that vote is what we're actually going to be sharing with OCM, okay? So just giving you guys the heads up of the process. And so, okay, got it. So then,
I'm going to try to answer that a little more thoughtfully. We can always say whatever we want when we respond to OCM, and the timing of the, the hearing vis-à-vis the deadline could be part of whatever the outcome is, whatever your recommendation is. It can be couched in this sort of frustration with the process and the timing and all of that. But I'm not aware of any exceptions that they've made for any of our, colleagues in community districts.
I have a question about the process. I'm sorry. We're voting on two things. The applicant itself as well as the location is two separate issues. So in theory, we could say the applicant is fine, but we don't like the location. Is that what we're saying?
that is correct. That's correct, because we've had situations in the past where we've approved the applicant, but we've had concerns with the location, and we've had vice versa, where the location's been fine, but we had concerns with the applicant. So yes, that's exactly that. You're very welcome. And so, so let me start with this. So let me start with this. On the applicant, do I have a motion to approve the applicant doing business as One Stop Deli and Candy Store Incorporated? Oh yeah, my bad. So let me rephrase that. So then, do I have a motion to approve the applicant, One Stop Deli and Candy Store, doing business as to be determined? Okay. So then, seeing that I do not have a motion, I do not have a second, then let me put another motion on the floor then. Do I have a motion to disapprove the applicant, One Stop Deli and Candy Store Incorporated, doing business as to be determined? Okay. Do I have a second? All right. So then, all those, and so just to be clear, this would be all those in favor of disapproving the applicant. Can you please raise your hand? All right. All those opposed? So this means that if you're opposed, you would be in favor of the applicant, One Stop Deli and Candy Store, doing business as a name to be determined. Yes, we're still talking about the applicant, correct, yes. Any abstentions? Okay. And so what this means is that the recommendation of disapproving the applicant for 9 Newkirk Plaza, that passes. And so now we're going to the location. And so this next part is, do I have a motion to approve the location of 9 Newkirk Plaza? Okay, so seeing no second, do I have a motion to disapprove the location of 9 Newkirk Plaza? Okay. Second. All right, so all those in favor of disapproving 9 Newkirk Plaza as a location, please raise your hand. Okay. So all those in favor of the location 9 Newkirk Plaza, please raise your hands. Okay. Any abstentions? Okay. So then, for the record then, what this means is that this recommendation of 9 Newkirk Plaza being disallowed as a location, that passes. And so This concludes the public hearing on 9 Newkirk Plaza at 7:17 PM. All right, so folks, we're going to go right into it. And so, friendly reminder, on both sides of the table, in front of the room, we have the mic stands. And so, just repeating the usual things, we're super sensitive. And so, if you want people to hear how you feel about, life or anything else, then go ahead. But just know that everyone else will hear your feelings about life as well, too. And so, this meeting of Brooklyn Community Board, actually, let me hit the gavel. So, bam. All right, now it's officially official, okay? But this meeting of Brooklyn Community Board 14 is called to order on Monday, February 10th, 2025 at 7:17 PM under the applicable statutes of New York State, the Charter of New York City, the board's bylaws, and Robert's Rules of Order. And so the board's policy is to encourage detailed public discussion of matters before the board, at our committee meetings, and at public hearings. So consequently, except by board members, there will be no public discussion at our regular monthly meeting of matters about which a public hearing or committee meeting has been held. So specific service delivery requests or complaints should be brought to the attention of the district office staff by either calling the board office during regular business hours or visiting our website anytime. And other matters of civic interest may be brought before the board during our scheduled public comment period, which will begin tonight after all other business on the board's monthly meeting agenda has been concluded. So please, no partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit enterprises will be heard. And persons wishing to speak during the public comment period were asked to pre-register. And so could the secretary please call the roll?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And Happy New Year. Wahil Ahmed, Carissa Alfonso, Gregory Alvarez, Hindi Bendel, Benjamin Bendet, Davina Bolanot, Christopher Bromson, Edward Sen, Carl Henry Cesar,
Present.
Florencia Changajita, present. Yvette Claire-Jean. Stephen D. Cohen. Elizabeth Dennis. Derek Donald. Sabina Doville. Joseph Dweck. Gerald Gray. Susan Argett. Musa Hassoun. Mordecai Husarski. Nautica Johnson. Erica Phillips Jones. Shahid Khan. Alex Lesman. Donald Loggins. Sasha Masluski. Melissa Minnick. Ephraim Nirenberg. Eric Ost. Ornella Parker. Nora Pena. Susan Phillip. Svi Plotsker. Barden Prasant. Bazaruhi. Nina Sabger. Joel Siegel. Gail L. Smith. Tova Svenberg. Abraham Treff. Deborah Valentin. Dawn Marie Walker. And Kendall Washington. We've got quorum.
Thank you very much, Secretary. And so next up are the minutes. And so were there any changes proposed to the January minutes via email? Okay. Do we have any proposed changes to the January minutes from the floor? So hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the January 2025 General Board meeting?
Motion.
Okay. Are any opposed? Are any abstaining? Are any folks ineligible to vote? Okay, so that motion carries. So next up, the district manager's report.
No report tonight, but I do want to make an announcement on behalf of the 44th Council District. You might remember this guy, Kelman Yeager, was the council member there. He has moved to Albany, but there is still staff in that office, so if you need them, call them, and we're always here to help. So thank you for proving me a truth teller. Look, right here. They're represented. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for that. And there's a couple folks here whom I'd like to recognize as well. And so in no order, we have Mary Kay Siri from Carol's office. So thank you very much for being here. We also have Nancy Lulu from the DA's office. So thank you very much for being here. We have Brian Grady from Rita Joseph's office. So thank you as well. And then we have Abraham from Faralusa's office as well. So thank you very much for being here as well. And we have Ellie Slavin. I got your name right, fine. And we have Ellie Slavin from Clark's office as well, too. Got you. And so this is now the chair's report. There's a lot. And so just bear with me, right? So there's a couple things. And so the first thing is some words on the federal government and potential impact to local government. And so at the federal level, there has been an unprecedented amount of proposals that are being considered, and they could impact local communities. And so if and when these proposals are enacted and these impacts are felt at the local level, do know that the district office, we will be working with elected officials, city agencies, and organizations to address issues, right? So that's something that I just want to say out loud because it's important and we're all feeling it, but I want to let you know that yes, we are here and we're doing this, okay? The other thing that I wanted to say as well is that to those who celebrated the Lunar New Year, I hope you did so festively and that it's the year of the snake, and so I hope that it treats you well. And February is Black History Month, and so I wholeheartedly thank the Black community for their contributed challenges of contributions to and enrichment of American society and culture. To those who celebrated Imbolc and Candlemas, I hope you did so well. To those who will celebrate Parinirvana and Mahashivaratri, I hope you do so joyously. And one more thing, you may have noticed that every month I take time to shout out, these month designations and holidays, right? So the reason I do that is because I do believe America is a mosaic, right? Like I do feel that multiple cultures, multiple people and communities have lain, they are laying, and they will continue to lay their tiles in this ever-growing tapestry. And because of that, I believe that one person or one group has not, cannot, and will not do it all by themselves. And so this is why I always do that stuff, right? So I'm just saying, for me, I feel like the proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's why I say that stuff, okay? And so the next thing I want to call out for folks is that the second public hearing regarding the future of SUNY Downstate Brooklyn Hospital, that will take place on Thursday, February 27th at Medgar Evers College, okay? And so there's supposed to be 3 public hearings. The first one occurred on January 22nd at SUNY Downstate Brooklyn Hospital. The second one will take place on Thursday, February 27th at Medgar Evers College. I don't, Nina, you have the time? What time do you have? Okay, I would say touch base with Nina, right?
We'll put it up on the website.
Okay, 6:30 p.m.
Is it there now? It's up on the Community Board 14 website.
Okay, there it is. Yes, on the CB14 website. So there it is. Okay, thank you for that. The next thing I want to say is that regarding board members, so unfortunately we do, what time you got? 6:30?
6 p.m. and it's in the Founders Auditorium and the address is 1650 Bedford Avenue.
Excellent. So thank you very much for that, Board Member Sabgir. And then we also have that information posted on the CB14 website as well. The next thing I want to call out as well is that, unfortunately, we do have 3 board members who resigned. And so they are William Hattar, we have Lee Harmon, and Hatem El Gamasi. And so all three of these board members, they were very thoughtful and respectful individuals. While I am sad that they are no longer participating on the board, I do thank them for their service and I wish them well. And I also remind them that there's a million ways to continue volunteering and serving the community, right? The community board was one way, but just because that chapter is done doesn't mean there aren't additional ways for them to do that. And so I would like folks to join me in a round of applause in regards to our former board members. Okay. The next thing in the chair's report is transition committee follow-up. And so on Thursday, January 16th, the transition committee, we held a meeting to hear from legacy board members and share findings on community board and community district composition. During this meeting, questions arose about the current process for scheduling committee meetings. And so there will be an executive committee meeting in the spring to discuss this item. And later tonight, you will hear a report from the transition committee chair about, the January 16th meeting. Okay. So the next thing up is a recommendation on variance application BSA -115, not dash, excuse me, #115-94-BZ, 2470 Bedford Avenue. So on Monday, February 3rd, 2025, at the Brooklyn Community Board 14 District Office, a public hearing was held. So the purpose of this public hearing was a continuation of the January 8th public hearing, and this continuation existed to also hear from the tenant and owner of the premises. And so this variance application is to the Board of Standards of Appeals. So the application had been made pursuant to ZR Section 11-411 for the extension of the term of a variance for the continued use of an automated repair, which expired on March 11, 2022, an amendment of the conditions of the previous resolution, an extension of time to obtain a certificate of occupancy, and a waiver of rules. So members of the public were asked to register at the back table of the Community Board 14 District Office to submit testimony for this hearing. So while no members of the public registered to speak, the district office did receive written testimony from 5 members of the public. So written testimony submitted by members of the public was read into the record. We also heard from the owner and the tenant. So in the end, a recommendation passed to give 2470 Bedford Avenue a 7-year extension with the following conditions. Operating hours of 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., no parking or otherwise obstructing the sidewalk, no working on the street, no storage of vehicles on the street, and no body work or painting on the sidewalk. Afterwards, an additional recommendation passed to make the 7-year extension subject to the outcome of a BSA compliance hearing that we would request BSA schedule within 18 months. So those were the recommendations that came out of the public hearing on 2470 Bedford Avenue last Monday in the February 3rd public hearing. So is there any discussion on this matter from board members here tonight? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, you can answer. Right. Yeah, come up to the podium then.
Elise Holader from Eric Planick PC. I'm the attorney who represented at the land use committee meeting, so thank you for having me. So a compliance hearing, you can hear me, right? Yeah? Okay. A compliance hearing is what happens is there's conditions of the BSA resolution to make sure that they're following, not putting on the sidewalk. Are you good?
No, there's some weird feedback that keeps like.
Oh, okay,
You keep
sorry.
going, you keep going.
Okay, so like any of the conditions such as no parking on the sidewalk, what would happen is you'd have to submit proof, like pictures or videos or whatever, to the BSA 18 months to prove that you're still operating correctly so that you can continue the 7-year term. So that's what it would entail. It's an internal meeting at the BSA where the commissioners meet with, or the chair at least, and the council meet with you to make sure that you're still operating in compliance. And then if you're not in compliance, you'd be forced back into the BSA process. Oh, Board of Standards and Appeals, it's the zoning board for all 5 boroughs of New York City.
Thank you for that. Do we have any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, and so there is something, there is a comment that I do have, and so, I was thinking about the public hearing and some other stuff, like the recommendations and things, and so the thing that I came to, I do have reservations. I do have reservations about the tenant, just because the things for me that I wasn't able to resolve, like, there's two things. It was the assertion of never having received violations and also like the signage. And so the reason I bring these up is because when I was re-reviewing the materials and looking at stuff, the address that I saw on 2 violations matched the address that I was hearing. And I felt like when I watched the video again, I saw that the property manager said they'd been basically overseeing that property for some time. So the thing I couldn't square was that I didn't believe that it had been, that basically over a decade had passed without this person never having received the violation at the stated address. And then the second piece for me that I couldn't square away when I was re-reviewing the material was just that I was hearing like the assertions about the signage and stuff, and then when I was looking at the other properties that were nearby, there is a sign that is on there that does have the numbers listed. So those were two things for me where when I was rewatching the recording and stuff like that, like I ended up having, I suddenly developed more reservations about the tenant than I had when I had left the meeting. And those are the two specific things for me that were that situation. Yeah, so I have board member Parker, and then board member Dweck, and then board member Siegel. Yes. And so basically, the tenant had asserted that like 2460 didn't have clear signage, right? Like that's what they had asserted. And then they do have a sign on the front of their building that does basically say transmission doorlit motors, right? And then, so they do have a sign that does say that. So that was something that stuck with me just because I did feel like, yeah, it's a sign like, is the sign huge? No, but there's a sign and it has numbers on there in the bottom and the bottom 2 corners of it. And so that gave me some reservation. And then for 2 violations, there were 2 violations that I had seen when I was reviewing some materials, and it just felt like they had the address listed and the property manager had stated that same address during it. And so I was just thinking, I don't know how this much time could have transpired and you hadn't received, you know, like a violation basically. So those were the 2 things between that public hearing and today when I was reviewing the stuff that gave me some reservations about the tenant that I had not had before. And so I have board member Dweck, and then I have board member Siegel, and then I have board member Valentin, and then if nothing else, then I'm gonna ask for the motion for us to vote on the motion that we had from there. And so board member Dweck. Okay, sure. So I have board member Siegel and board member Valentin. So I'm looking at I'm looking at an ECB violation with a date of 12/21/23 with a service date of January 5th, 2024. Specific violation condition, it says, work without a permit noted, observe that front of building, 3 signs were installed on awning with yellow background with wordings, Rent Auto Builders Incorporated. And so that one, it says there was a serve date of 1/5/2024 and then a violation date of 12/21/23. And then the other violation I'm looking at one that has a violation date of 12/21/23, a serve date of 1/11/2024. It says failure to comply with special permits, variance authorization or certifications, BSA calendar number 11594BZ. No new COFO has been issued by March 11, 2022, which is why we're having the thing. And then that one, yeah, so for both of those, they both have the same mailing address of what the owner tenant had said in there. And so those are the 2 specific things that that basically as I was thinking about this, like they gave me some reservations about the tenant that I didn't have before. Let me hear from board member Valentin, because you had one, and then I'm gonna go board member Valentin, and then I will go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, so. So yeah, what I'm saying, the concern that I'm raising with the violation is because the owner/property manager had said he had never received the violation, and then the address that's listed on here, specifically like the mailing address for the respondent information, it lists the address that was stated. And so that's a thing that gave me pause. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the reason why. So that's the specific thing that's doing that. And so I believe I said, Board Member Alvarez, I'll do 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, yeah, so Greg, and then I'll go Barden, right? So,
Just a question on the date of that violation.
yep.
What was the date of that violation?
Let's see. The violation detail says it was a violation date of 12/21/2023. It has a served date of 1/5/2024. I see some other dates on here. I see a ECB hearing of 3/13/2024. I see a court docket date of 9/30/2024. And I see some other information regarding like penalties imposed, balances and stuff like that.
Okay, so it started, I guess the process started in December of 2023. I recall the applicant mentioning and, making the appeal for the longer period was that it takes a significant amount of time for this process, to go through the BSA process. Looking back, I saw that the application was originally filed, if I'm not mistaken, in April of 2024. Is that correct? Okay, so it leads me to believe that probably the violation prompted it, then they filed it, and then, we're here at this point.
Okay.
So if the process took, under a year to get to this point, it certainly leads me to believe that, the argument for giving the extended period may be overblown a bit in terms of what may be required. It's just kind of piecing together the time frame, because I know there was a big discussion about that. I guess, so at least in terms of the time frame, it kind of, gives me some pause in terms of the length. But the other thing was, I understand that this application has appeared before the PSA, right? Was it? It was today. And so, do you have a new date?
You don't get one.
Okay, but we're probably thinking,
The dates that the dates that the chair said for the next hearing would be March 24th, 25th.
I understood it that I said, remember, I want more, we need more time.
Because they were originally going to say March 9th, 10th, and then you said you wanted more time, and they said March 24th, 25th then.
So she puts that as like, the way I don't want to like speak up against that, but what happens is the project manager confirms that date with you once they check their calendar after. So it's likely going to be that date, but I'm not going to say it's 100% that date until the BSA writes me officially.
so that's probably the earliest, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that can be still changed if that's not what I want, because they haven't officially scheduled me on their calendar.
Okay, so if it's not until the 24th, it just leads me to believe if our big concerns relate to compliance and how it's actually operating at the site, I'm just going to, that does give us some opportunity for a further period to investigate what's actually going on at this property for, at least until our next meeting next month. I'm just wondering if that's potentially an option as well, just to consider, just to see if we can work out these issues and figure out, maybe have a better idea of what the behavior actually is on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, I hear you. I mean, and thank you for sharing those points. I mean, what I'm going to do is, we do have a few more hands for the discussion, and then because, and after that too, like, we do have the recommendation that came out from that one, and so, no, so like, yeah, the point of, like, we have all this stuff, and so we'll go through those recommendations, and then, pending the vote of those, then, yeah, right. But I thank you for sharing that, because that is something to consider. And so I had Barden second, and then I believe I had Joel third, and then Ornella, I think you had your hand up, and then you wanted to say something too. And then if there's no other points, then I'll ask for a vote on the, I'll ask for a motion for the recommendations that came out. So Barden, you're up.
Sean, I believe you went through part of the chronology where we had a previous approval with numerous conditions, and then in 2019, with the same tenant, we said that we wrote a letter to the BSA stating that we were not under the impression that they were living up to their obligations.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so next we have Siegel, and then we have Parker.
December 2023 triggered that they didn't know that they were out of compliance and had to do that. But the second violation required some sort of signage that we read. It strikes me that that doesn't go to the things that people were complaining about. Tree, noise, the this, the that. It seems, you know, violations, it seems about violations. It strikes me as kind of somewhat bad. So, it doesn't change.
Got you, understood, yeah, and I hear you completely with that. What I can tell you is, like, what I'm sharing with you folks, like, the things that I had, I was looking at it, the thing that I couldn't, the thing I was wrestling with was basically just looking at these violations and the dates that I saw there, and then for me watching the material, I couldn't square the belief that I thought that this individual had never received a violation when, just like given how long that person had been working in that capacity, then also like looking at the date of that thing as well. So the points you raise are very valid as well too, to some extent, right? And so I have Board Member Parker, and then I have District Manager Campbell, and then I'm gonna ask for a motion. So, okay, so.
I think to clarify, what I got from when the owner and the tenant was there,
Yes.
it wasn't around because we received these violations in the packet. I remember
Yeah.
back in January 8th, before the tenant were even there. So we didn't know about these violations. The violations we were talking about is, they said was in regards to the conditions. So we were being told that they got violations from like PD, from DSNY, different things like that. And the owner was responding saying they never received any of those violations. And those are the ones, even speak for myself, I was asking for more details around specificity around, because I kind of wanted to decipher what those were, and we haven't received those to this day. So kind of echoing what Joe said, I don't know if that changes what we talked about that day. And then also the signage. I was trying to remember, like, the owner said that they don't have a sign, or that next door didn't have a sign. They were saying that they were mistaking the two businesses for each other, because one has a sign, one doesn't. And to the violation about the signage, they took their sign down.
Yes.
In response to whatever violation
Yep.
we gave them. And for a while, didn't have a sign. So the only number they were seeing is 2460, which is not that, because we're talking about a different location.
You were
right?
saying it the other way.
I thought it was.
Yeah, because I remember, the reason I went to look right away is because I
Yep.
remember when they said that, I went to look right away, like, when we were in that meeting, I searched the address, and their sign been up, the 2460 sign. And the tenant, the owner,
Yep.
they still don't have a sign, even in these visuals from Google. They now have like a sticker version of a sign up, but they were speaking to the issue of like, even their tenants, when they're writing the letters, don't necessarily know which auto shop that they're referencing. So I just want to clarify those 2 points, because the first one is not that they said they never received a violation, because they gave us the violations from the ESA, and I think another one was in the packet. It's about the violations around like the conditions, within it, and then the other one around the address and the signage. There is a sign up. They were speaking to the fact that they're being mistaken for the other auto shop that's directly attached to them, because they had to take their sign down in response to a violation they received from the city.
Okay. Thank you for
That
that.
was my interpretation.
Got you, and thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate that. District Manager Kemp.
Sure, just some details from today's BSA hearing. The signage did come up, and what had been pointed out was there was a lack of compliance with the sign. So instead of putting up a compliant sign, they just completely took the sign down. And so BSA has asked them to resubmit their plans with signage in the plans. The other thing is that BSA was pretty forceful about trees and the tree plan, and that's something that they had put into their recommendations. they were asking for that to go back into the recommendations, and they're asking for a resubmission of the plan with the trees. So maybe it was my understanding, but any understanding that the board walked away with, because we took that, you all took that out of the recommendation, because there was an understanding that it didn't comport with the plans, and so it couldn't be a recommendation. So maybe that was just my lack of clarity, but it can be. The chair had some suggestions. They're not conditions, but suggestions on how the applicant could try to substantiate that they are complying with the rules about parking and use of sidewalk and all of that. And we're, trying to guide them to make sure that they can make as compelling a case as possible. And to the extent that, if this is delayed, I would commit the office to carefully monitor the area. And today I actually did call NYPD traffic and asked them to very closely monitor 2484. I spoke to the precinct about 2484, and we'll be running the plates of anything parked in front of that to get to the owners as well.
Thank you very much for that. And so given that's the discussion period for 2470 Bedford Avenue, do I have a motion to approve the recommendation from the public hearing with regards to 2470 Bedford Avenue? No second? Okay, so all those in favor of the recommendation, and do people remember the recommendation? Do they need me to reread what the recommendation was? Sure. So the recommendations, basically, it was that 2470 Bedford Avenue receive a 7-year extension with the following conditions: operating hours of 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., no parking or otherwise obstructing the sidewalk, no working on the street, no storage of vehicles on the street, no bodywork or painting on the sidewalk, and there is an additional recommendation passed to make this 7-year extension subject to the outcome of a BSA compliance hearing that we would request BSA schedule within 18 months. So that is the whole recommendation that came out of the February 3rd public hearing. Okay, so now that folks understand what the motion is and seconded, all those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Any ineligible? Okay, so the motion carries. And so next up, we have a recommendation on retail cannabis dispensary application for 9 Newkirk Plaza. And so earlier today, a public hearing was held, and it was to hear testimony with respect to an application submitted by Adam Zakari, doing business as One Stop Deli and Candy Store Incorporated, for an adult use retail dispensary license at 9 Newkirk Plaza. And so members of the public were asked to register at the back table of the East Midwood Jewish Center to submit testimony for this hearing. There were no registered speakers. And so in the end, a recommendation was made to deny the applicant and location. So is there any discussion on the matter from board members here tonight? Okay, so hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the recommendation from the public hearing with regards to an adult use retail cannabis dispensary application for 9 Newkirk Plaza? So the motion is to approve the recommendation that came out of the public hearing for 9 Newkirk Plaza, and that recommendation was to deny the applicant and the location. Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, so all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? Anyone ineligible to vote? Okay, so the motion carries. So next up, we also had a public hearing for a testimony for an application submitted by Joanne Rainone, doing business as JoJo Show LLC for an adult use retail dispensary license at 1584 Flatbush Avenue. So for this one as well, members of the public were asked to register at the back table and submit testimony for this hearing. There were no pre-registered speakers. In the end, a recommendation was made to approve the applicant and the location. So is there any discussion on the matter from board members here tonight? Okay, so hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the recommendation from the public hearing with regards to an adult use retail cannabis dispensary application for 1584 Flatbush Avenue? Okay, thank you. And so all those in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? I got 3 abstentions. Any ineligible to vote? Okay, so the motion carries. Before I get to the next part, I'd just like to recognize Emily Joaquin and Taisha Allen. So thank you both for being here. And so next up, we have Department of Transportation Open Dining. And so the district office, we received 3 applications for DOT's open dining program. One applicant is Rusty Nail, and the others are 2 sidewalk cafes. And so per the public comment period, the recommendation for the sidewalk cafes is due by February 27th, and for Rusty Nail is due by March 7th. So given the timing, there's 2 options, and we have to make a decision on them. So option 1 is make a motion to empower the committee of the whole, and this committee of the whole would meet on Tuesday, February 25th to address these 3 applications, Rusty Nail and the 2 sidewalk cafes. Option number 2 is CB14 takes no action. And this is what would happen. For the sidewalk cafes, they would continue moving forward in the system. For the roadway application, which is Rusty Nail, they would only be heard at a DOT hearing, and then CB14, we would share the date of that hearing, basically once that date became available. So if a board member has a preference, please make a motion accordingly. But just to recap, we have 3 open dining applications, 2 sidewalk cafes, 1 of them is a roadway. The roadway, a hearing has to happen no matter what. For the sidewalk cafes, there's only specific criteria that trigger a hearing. And so so option 1 is empower the committee of the whole, and we would meet on February 25th to decide on all 3. And that would be, because it's the committee of the whole, that recommendation wouldn't be ratified by the board in the March board meeting. That would be the decision of the board, and that's what we would send the DOT. Option 2 is we do nothing. We just leave it be, and then the 2 sidewalk cafes would continue on. For the roadway application of Rusty Nail, DOT would schedule a hearing, and then whenever that hearing date became available, we would share that information with people, and then they could attend. And so, do I have a motion for either one? You prefer option 1, committee of the whole? Okay. And so, are you making a motion to empower the committee of the whole? Okay. Okay, you seconded it. So the motion is so the motion we have on the floor that we're going to vote on is to empower a committee of the whole to meet on February 25th. Right? So that's the motion. Okay. And so, do you have a question, board member?
Point of information.
Yes.
That basically is the old COVID checks,
They had a structure in the roadway before. It came down, you know, by the deadline. The criteria for those roadway structures are a little bit different. So I don't know they'll be as shacky. And we can, and that would be subject to the hearing to get the plans that they were drawing up.
If I can make a relative view, they all have to have it done by a certain point. This is actually the only one that is actually putting that to put it back up.
For a roadway, yeah.
Okay. And so all those in favor of empowering the Committee of the Whole to meet on February 25th to review these DOT open dining applications, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All right, any abstentions? Yep. Any ineligible? Okay, so the motion carries, and so we will empower the Committee of the, so the Committee of the Whole is empowered, and we will meet on February 25th to review these applications. So.
At the CB14, this has to be an in-person meeting, so it'll be at the Community Board 14 office at 6:30, we'll call it for.
Okay. Thank you for that. So then, next up, Brooklyn Borough Board report, very short and sweet. It took place last Tuesday. The main updates are Brooklyn Borough Hall will now publish a monthly attendance report on its website, and basically just calling out which representatives, the city council members, and, you know, community board, Brooklyn community boards are present or not. And it's anonymized, so it's just going to be a 1 for some representative was there, or a 0, some person was not there. Second thing, too, is that the open meetings law hybrid provision, that expires in July 2026, and so Brooklyn Borough Board, we will revisit that sometime in the future just to consider what that impact could be for Brooklyn Borough Board. And then the next piece is also that a committee will be established to review Brooklyn Borough Board's bylaws. And then the other thing, too, is a reminder that for folks whose community board term is expiring this year, that if you haven't already, submit your reapplication, and for new people, submit your application, because the deadline is this Friday, February 14th. And so next up, the nominating committee. And so first of all, I'd like folks to join me in a round of applause for this year's nominating committee members, who were in no order. We have Benjamin Bendet. We have Wakil Ahmed. We have Dawn Marie Walker. We have Yvette Claire Jean. And we have Christopher Bromson. And so Christopher Bromson was selected to chair the committee, so now I turn this portion over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to all the members of the committee, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet with you last Monday under the relevant section of the bylaws. As we met to discuss, we took into consideration a number of factors, one being the significant appreciation we have for the current executive slate, for all the expertise and dedication they have brought to their roles over the past year, and for some, much longer than that. And as we crafted this slate for this year, we took into consideration the term limits that will come into effect in 2027 and 28, and wanted to make sure that the slate we nominated balanced both a significant number of people with expertise and new people who wouldn't term out and leave the executive committee kind of in the lurch. So we made these slate recommendations with that in mind. So for chair, we have nominated Carl Henry Cesar. For first vice chair, Eric Ost. Second vice chair, Deborah Valentin. Third vice chair, Ornella Parker. For secretary, Florencia Chang Ajita. For the first member at large, Musa Hassoun. And I neglected to mention the very dramatic moment about 4 minutes into the meeting when Benjamin Bendet surprisingly resigned from the nominating committee to be nominated for member at large, the final member at large. So that is our recommendation. So a sincere thanks to Ed Sen, to Hindi Bendel, and to Shahid Khan for their continued service. We really appreciate it.
Yes,
So thank you.
Thank you very much for that report, Christopher Bromson, and thank you as well, nominating committee members, for all your hard work with that. Also, want to report that Christopher Bromson will also be the Community Board 14 representative to the Prospect Park Alliance. And so, Chris, thank you very much for that. And I'd also like to recognize Britt Bird from Borough President Reynoso's office. So, Britt, hello. And so, per our bylaws, trying to think, oh yeah, nominations from the floor. I forgot, yes, so you heard the proposed executive slate from the nominating committee. If there are any nominations from the floor for any of those positions, then board members could definitely, oh, one by one? All right, got it, so give me a second. Let me make some space then for this. No, that's not awkward. Let me just write this down. So, chairperson, first vice chair, third vice chair, right?
Carl for chair, Eric for first vice, Deborah for second vice, Ornella for third vice, Florencia for secretary, Musa and Benjamin for members at large. I'm very casual, I just used first names. Are we good?
Thank you. And so, do I have a nomination from the floor for chairperson? Okay, so then, yeah, so, Chris, are you, well, yeah. Board Member Loggins? Okay, thank you, sure. As chairperson or first vice chair?
First vice chair.
Okay, got you. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you. Are there any additional nominations from the floor for first vice chair? Okay, so then are there any nominations from the floor for second vice chair? Are there any nominations from the floor for third vice chair? Are there any nominations from the floor for secretary? Okay. Are there any nominations from the floor for first member at large? Are there any nominations from the floor for second member at large? Okay, and so what this means is that we've had a nomination from the floor for first vice chair, and that individual is Donald Loggins. And we will have the election in March. So, folks, that concludes the chair's report. So thank you very much for all of your patience with all that stuff. There was a lot. And so now we are going to the topical committees. And so first up, we have Human Services, followed by Community Safety.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yvette Claire-Jane.
Nina Safkier.
So our committee had a meeting on Wednesday, January 22nd, where we had an informative presentation on the Street Homelessness Advocacy Project, SHAP, by its founder, Norman Siegel, and other volunteers of the organization. So SHAP is an all-volunteer initiative which started in 2022 with support and collaboration from the Mayor's Office and the Department of Homeless Services. So it's based on the premise that no New Yorkers should have to live on the street. So on nights during the weeks, volunteers venture into New York City's public spaces to connect with those who are homeless, to learn about them, to understand why they are homeless, and to see what they would need to voluntarily leave the streets for a safer, more humane alternative. So right now, SHAP's volunteers work in Staten Island, Harlem, Midtown, and Washington Square Park. And the organization, in its second year, they were very successful, where they had 1 out of 2 individuals that they encountered, volunteer to leave homelessness into safer options. So SHAP would like to expand the areas that they're serving, but they need you, all of you sitting here, and other members of our community board to participate. So if anyone is interested in being a volunteer and attending orientation and being part of SHAP, you can contact either Nina or myself or the board office. They'd be willing to come in and do an orientation for our community board, not just for those on the board, but for anyone living in the community board within our area who'd like to be part of the initiative. And you can also learn more about the organization by visiting their website, www.shapnyc.com.
I'm sure. Okay, so Mr. Carl Henry Caesar brought up the fact that there is going to be a hearing at Downstate on February 27th, or for Downstate, and it's going to be at Medgar Evers College in the Founders Auditorium. The reason that this is important is, first of all, our underserved communities have lost more and more hospitals. It's not only hospitals and in-service, it's also the outpatient services that are provided, and they're very much needed. So I hope that people will attend. So that was the first thing I want to talk about. The other things I want to talk about is, if you've been listening to the news at all, flu season has hit New York hard and heavy. People are dying of the flu. Yes, you can die of the flu. If you have not gotten vaccinated already, or you know any individuals who have not gotten vaccinated, please urge them. They can walk into any drugstore, and they can get the flu shot. Some appreciate if you make an appointment, but it's not 100% necessary. If there are insurance issues, they can go to any HHC location that's like South Brooklyn Hospital, Kings County, Woodhull. They're all over the city, and they can get a flu shot there. I believe other hospitals can give flu shots as well, and insurance is not required. So just spread the word, please. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up was that Brookdale Hospital has a hepatitis C program. For those of you who don't know, it is a serious liver infection. It's a viral infection, but it's spread through bloodborne pathogens, essentially, and it is treatable. If it's not treated, there are serious consequences. So if you are affected by hepatitis C or know anybody who is, please send them to Brookdale Hospital. I have some flyers on the table, and let them know that help is available. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. So next up, we have Community Safety, followed by Community Environment and Cultural Affairs.
While they're making their way up, I just want to reiterate that call to action. The presentation on SHAP's work was really compelling, and to the extent that we could gather 12 to 15 people in this community to form a group, I think it could really add value to a really important cause and do really important things for people in need. So reach out. Well, and if you don't reach out to me, I'm probably going to reach out to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We want to just wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year to whoever celebrated, and happy everything to anyone else who celebrates anything. We have no news to report at this point. We're just happy to see everyone and say hi.
And Sean.
Community Council? Do you want to announce Community Council meeting?
Oh,
We have
which is, the officers left. It's the last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, yeah.
The precinct council meeting will be at the 175 Lawrence Street at 7:30 PM. It's the last Wednesday of this month. Thank you. Please show up.
Thank you both. So next we have Community Environment and Cultural Affairs, followed by Transportation Committee.
Whoever it is. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We had a meeting, the committee, last Wednesday, and we had 2 sets of presenters. The first set was quite a presentation. It was 2 people who are the founders of an organization, Metro Flood Defense. Sally Bowman, a resident of Flatbush, and her partner, Sam Jackson. They're a nonprofit formed to promote the preservation, protection, safety of greater New York City, and to promote the preservation, protection of greater New York City, all of its residents, from the dual threat of inland and coastal flooding caused by storm surge, sea level rise, and extreme precipitation. They champion science-based solutions and provide support and resources to residents and communities. They are connected with other groups addressing storms and water issues, and together they produced a comprehensive, layered, regional flood defense strategy. And if you want to look at the presentation at the committee meeting, it's on YouTube. I think it's worth a look. Flooding is a top concern for all of New York City. It's projected we will have more precipitation and more extreme precipitation events. We are one of Flatbush, the 20 most flood-prone areas in New York City, but we are outside FEMA's 100-year flood zone. During a September 23 flash flood, the Kensington-Flatbush area was identified as one of the neighborhoods with the most concentrated 311 flooding complaints. There are 2 types of flooding: inland flooding, coastal flooding, and 3 causes of flooding: intense rainfall, sea level rise, and storm surge. And sea level rise exacerbates storm surge, and the projections are that the sea levels are rising significantly and quickly. And a lot of communities are experiencing the effect, and there are not a lot of easy solutions. Storm surge can exacerbate an intense rainfall. During Superstorm Sandy, there was a massive storm surge, but there wasn't a lot of rain. During Hurricane Ida, we didn't have a storm surge, but we had a lot of rain. And we were lucky that we didn't have a lot of rain during Sandy and not a lot of storm surge during Ida, because it's very possible we could experience a storm with both of those things together. And that's when sewers back up, and those events are projected to increase and in the future. And our aging water system, stormwater systems will be taxed and overwhelmed, and there'll be increased disruption to transit and tunnels and costly flood damage. There are new regulations coming into effect mandating flood insurance in certain areas. Because Flatbush is not considered a flood zone, we are not covered by the regulations. But if you own property, you should have flood insurance. A lot of information was presented at this meeting. If you're interested in this subject, I suggest you look at the meeting we had, and of course, give it a like when you're on the YouTube. Then we had a second set of presenters from the Prospect Park Alliance, Christian Zimmerman and Deborah Kirshner. Christian updated us on the Prospect Alliance's capital project. The big project is the Lakeshore Restoration. It's a large project, at this point $20 million, and it's moving forward. There's a flood mitigation component to the Lakeshore project, and the goal is to stop water from leaving the park. And the Alliance believes they'll begin construction in 2027. And the DEP is also studying a way to use the park to reduce flooding problems of surrounding areas, such as lowering the lake to hold more water. There's a Parkside Ocean Avenue perimeter sidewalk bike lane project that's in procurement, and the goal is to start construction this summer. There's a Shirley Chisholm Monument and Pavilion that's being designed for the Ocean Avenue Parkside corner of the park, and the goal is to begin construction in the summer. And there's a Field 9 parade grounds renovation going on, and that's in construction. They project that they will finish this summer. We also got an overview of other projects by Deborah Kirshner of the Alliance, and the Alliance's capital and expense allocations and funding for 2025. This information is on the YouTube video. So, Ed, did you want to announce the other thing? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. The Prospect Park Alliance is also hosting a Lunch and Learn series throughout February and March. So each session will take place at the Prospect Park Boathouse and featuring a presentation led by a doctor with select sessions including free medical screenings and complimentary lunch. So the first one will be taking place this Wednesday, February 12th from 12 to 2, covering diabetes care and prevention. And the next one will be on February 26th, also a Wednesday from 11 to 2, covering maternal health and health screenings. And in March, March 12th from 12 to 2, covering mental health. And then again on March 26th from 12 to 2, it will be another maternal health and screening. So thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have Transportation Committee, then Housing and Land Use.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Valentin. Okay, I'd just like to, we'll just like to invite you to our next meeting, which is February 19th, 6:30. Please show up. February 19th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. So next up, we have Housing and Land Use, followed by Youth Services. And then you stay up after youth because it's going to be transition.
Good evening, everybody. Greg Alvarez, co-chair of the Housing and Land Use Committee. Our next meeting is...
Look at that.
All right. March 24th is the tentative date, 6:30 on WebEx. Right now, we have a speaker from City Planning who will talk about City of Yes and its effect on, let's see, on City of Yes and its effect on the districts. So we invite everyone to join us. We're also trying to line up a second speaker, but it has not been confirmed, hopefully to speak on new home ownership and tenants' rights. And so we invite everybody to join us. And Melissa, please.
My name is Melissa. Also just wanted to announce that tomorrow, February 11th, Tuesday, is the New York City Charter Revision Commission is hosting a public input session on specifically housing and land use. And so they're going to be having one of these public input sessions in each borough, and tomorrow's the first one, happens to be in Brooklyn, and it's actually a hybrid event. So you can tune in either online or in person. It's going to be okay. It's going to be from 5 to 8 p.m. at 9 Metrotech in Brooklyn. And this is a public input session for Brooklyn to discuss proposed changes to the New York City Charter. And there'll be a number of invited panelists, experts, followed by general testimony from the public. So if anybody has ideas on housing, land use, how things can go more smoothly when it works with the New York City Charter, that's a great place to tune in. Either listen, learn some things, or if you have something to say about it, that's great as well. But you can learn more about that at nyc.gov/charter. That's tomorrow night.
Thank you. So next up, we have Youth Services, Education, Libraries, followed by the Transition Committee.
A little scared, y'all. Okay. Hi, everyone. Ornella Parker here, one of the co-chairs for the Youth Services, Education, and Libraries Committee, a long one. And I'm here with Eric. We had our last meeting on January 30th, where we had a few different agenda items. First one being a presentation from Housing Works, Inc. They shared with us a new clubhouse that they're trying to promote. If you guys don't know what Housing Works is, they're a well-rounded organization that focuses on providing resources for those impacted by HIV and AIDS. And they've been around since the 1990s. They came about through ACT UP. The most updated program that they shared with us is their OASIS LGBTQ+ Youth Clubhouse. Just some quick eligibility things. It is very loose. They say they take anyone who needs the support, but the criteria is those identify as LGBTQ+, people of color, ages 18 to 24, and that is not definitive. They will take you a little bit before, a little bit after those age. And then enrollment is also very loose. There's a questionnaire, but it's not anything extensive. You don't have to give up that much information. It's just an intake. And with that comes a lot of free resources. You get, don't do that to me, come on now. All right. So it comes with a few different opportunities. They provide like arts, music, career development for those that are part of the clubhouse, food. They have a clothing rack. They also provide emergency food pantry for those that are involved, that are part of the clubhouse. And there's always free monthly programs. So anyone that you know that falls into that criteria and that is interested, point them in the direction of this. It is located in the East New York neighborhood for Brooklyn, but they have resources through Housing Works across all of New York City. Oh yeah, Kiki, yes. They also have ballroom as a part of it, but for the younger generation, it's called Kiki. So anyone who knows about Vogan, ballroom, they also offer that for those that are part of the clubhouse. And they support on the street is that they might be offering that at the youth conference. Oh no. Yeah, Sean is not in this. It's gonna be there, okay. And then the second agenda item was from Pure Legacy. So Pure Legacy serves as a support for females from the age of 16 to 24 who's experienced trauma either through the criminal justice system or through the foster care system and or homelessness. So they actually go between two different boroughs. They go between Brooklyn and Bronx for their programming. Lucky enough, this time around this year, they're in Brooklyn, and the program that's coming up is a mentor training program. It's 16 weeks. It's for females from the ages of 17 to 24. They get paid $200 per week during the training program. They also get to spend time with a little. They get to experience field trips, and then after that, they actually then become a big sister to a little. So 16 weeks, $200. I wouldn't give that up. I wish I had that as an option when I was that age. But the applications actually open up February 23rd, so that's coming up really quickly. So if you know any female who is impacted by criminal justice system, homelessness, and or the foster care system, this is a program that's open to them, and again, it's called Pure Legacy.
A lot of good stuff at our meeting. So we also have, if you didn't notice when you came in, we got flyers. The 18th Annual Youth Conference celebrating the life of Dwayne Joseph is coming up on Wednesday, March 12th, 4 to 7 p.m. The space is booked at the Flatbush YMCA, same as it was last year. How many people were there last year?
Raise your hands with some confidence, y'all.
Wow. All right, it looks like some people are going to see it this year, maybe, if you hadn't been there last year. We have organizations and schools have been invited. The district office has been hard at work. Now we need you. We need you. We are short on volunteers. We need them for outreach, and we need them for the day of. So outreach, you can start today. We have flyers in Haitian Creole, in Spanish, in English here. If you need Urdu and Bangla, I think there's some at the office. Any representatives who are here, we have nice big ones for your offices on Flatbush Avenue. They look beautiful. You can see in the back, Patricia, show them. So we have larger ones. So please take them with you. They're here. Hand them out, small, big, whatever you need. Take a stack. If you have, also in terms of outreach, if you are an organization or represent an organization that has not yet RSVP'd, we know you're coming, you know you're coming, but you haven't quite sent your RSVP. Please do that so we have a count. And if you know other organizations, perhaps, who should be there and aren't yet, please let them know. There's a very easy intake portal on the website if you want to sign up as an organization. For the day of, there's tables to set up, there's snacks to arrange, there's children to usher in. There are mock interviews. Ibrahim, I think maybe. You could do some mock interviews. I'm looking at you. We need people at the entrance and floaters to be there. So we need hands on deck. There is also, next to where you signed in for the meeting, there's a sign-up sheet for the volunteers. Look over there. You can see Patricia's holding it up. You could shoot QR code it, sign up, or as you're going out, stop, grab a stack, put your name down so the district office can count you in. We know you'll be there, and we'll need your help. So please do that. Mock interview candidates, we're looking for 45-minute blocks, 4:30 to 6:30, to give the kids an experience of talking to somebody who's a professional, somebody who maybe is doing interesting work that the kids are not familiar with. They love to sit with the elected representatives or people that are working in those offices. So all of that's very exciting for young people. And it's also really fulfilling for mock interviewers. People who sign up for the 45-minute block end up staying the whole time. Just clear your calendar. But please, the 45-minute block, we'd love to have you. Or if you know somebody else who could do it, or if your partner could do it. So we need those. Please sign up. Let the district office know you could do that. So anybody who's interested, great way to get in touch with our community and help out. We need these kids. We need to help these guys. This is our community. These are our kids. So please. The final planning meeting is the Youth Services Education Libraries Committee meeting, Thursday, February 27th. So it is a Youth Services Committee meeting, but we're just the leads. This is a CB14 Youth Conference. It's not just the Youth Services Conference. So we need everybody. So come to that meeting. We'll give you jobs for the day of and last minute prep. If you can make it, it's all hands on deck. So come on out. I think that's a good pitch. Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. And so we now have the transition committee. Oh, look, Ornella's up there.
Right, I never left. On January 16th, we had our transition committee meeting. The agenda items was, I think Carl named this earlier during his, we had legacy board members come and speak about transferring knowledge to those that are newer to the board or are interested in even joining the board. And then we also talked about next steps for our community board composition. So back to like the legacy board members, if you did not watch that meeting, it is up on our site. Please go watch it. It is really filled with knowledge. I was writing notes for days on that call. No, honestly, from hearing about, I wrote this down, FAR from Glenn. I didn't even know what a floor area ratio was, and now I do, so thank you, Glenn. But even just like now things back from the 1988, like different groups that were formed, the OMA group, we learned about, Hindi also sharing how Robert's Rule of Order, how you learn about all those things and how that comes into play day to day. Florencia also shared about the importance of representation in our community boards. And then we had Jonathan Judge, who was the first youth conference. I got that right, Sean? Yeah, so we're on our 18th this year, and we had a member who was there for the very first one. So it is a wealth of knowledge, and that is not an exaggeration. So it takes some time out when you throw in your AirPods, whatever you're doing, when you're doing your Sunday cleaning, let that play in the background so you can also gain some of that knowledge. And then the second agenda item was about our composition. This was shared quite a few times with you guys. We're trying to make sure that we are upholding the Brooklyn Borough President's charter around making sure that our community board represents our entire district. And right now there are some areas that we do have some gaps in. And what we have done, we have sent direct messaging out because the applications are open right now to different community organizations that represent those different demographics. Again, we do not get to select who is part of that, who gets chosen as a community board member. That is the borough office, but we helped outreach for the borough office. And if there's anyone who thinks that they have some insight in like other community organizations that we haven't like reached out to, please do. The applications are due this Friday, again, the 14th, the Day of Love. Please make sure that we give our board some love and our district some love by making sure we have a large pool of applicants that the borough, Brooklyn Borough President Office can choose from. All right, yeah.
Thank you very much. And so folks, as usual, I'm giving flowers to Wayne Rosenfeld and the East Midwood Jewish Center for hosting us. So flowers part one and then flowers part two to Mark Moss for live streaming this meeting. And so truth of the matter is, without both of them, wouldn't really be able to do this the way we do, so thank you. And so now this brings us to our public comment period. And so board members are expected to remain for the public comment period. Speakers can sign up with either Patricia or Sarah in the back up until the beginning of the public comment period. Matters of civic interest and announcements of public events are invited. Reminder, please, no partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit enterprises are permitted. So each speaker will be permitted to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not receive additional time from another speaker. Speakers are directed to address the assembly from the front of the room, and then at the conclusion of the 3-minute period, each speaker must return to their seat. And so the board does have an obligation to conduct its business in an orderly fashion, and so any person preventing the meeting from continuing may be asked to leave. And accordingly, speaking time will be assigned first to speakers from different groups, then to speakers addressing different issues, and finally, time permitting, to additional speakers on an issue from a single group. So it is 8:32 p.m. So the first speaker will be Michael Harvey from Flatbush SDA, followed by Wayne Rosenfeld. So Michael Harvey, you are up.
Chairman Caesar, members of the executive body, and our distinguished manager, Sean Campbell, other members of the board, the fabulous Flatbush Seventh-day Adventist Church. One of our strategic initiatives is community empowerment. And we intend, because in this time and age, success is not measured by how much you know, but who you are, how you think, how you connect with others, how you lead, how you create, and how you make others empowered. And so we have instilled a Leadership Excellence Award that we honor persons who have contributed selflessly to their various communities in helping others to achieve a greater version of themselves. And we look for individuals who demonstrate competence, character, values, and ethics in leadership. And looking around, we value the sterling contribution of District 14 and your eclectic approach to the holistic development of humanity and those you serve with dignity and pride. And so at our Leadership Excellence Awards banquet, we have identified a person who we believe has exemplified these virtues, one who epitomizes grace and finesse and love for humanity. And so we want to recognize this person. I read what it says. The Flatbush Seventh-day Adventist Church Evening of Elegance and Leadership Excellence Award, Pastors Dr. Harvey's Leadership Excellence Award, presented to Sean Lees Campbell. For exemplifying consecrated, committed, competent ethics and values in leadership. We commend your dedication and commendable contributions towards the betterment of your institution that you represent and the wider society. Your exceptional leadership has been an inspiration to all. And it gives me great honor on behalf of our leader of our conference, Dr. Eldin King, and his administration, my associate pastor, Pastor Langley, to present all my first elder, David Huston, all my officers and members, and one of your board members here who is one of a kind. She is exemplary in her humanitarian gesture to humanity, Coach Johnson. we want to present this to you in recognition of your grace and the stellar way you have been serving the people in this district. Congratulations.
I wasn't available to accept this in real time, so I really appreciate you coming out and sitting through a long meeting to do this. I wasn't there in person originally because it was the week my mother died, and your expression of condolences that week and having something nice happening when I was grieving was really special. So thank you for your continued support and all the good things. You're good at this, actually. That was beautifully done. But thank you very much for this, and you for your continued service. Thank you both and your congregation.
Thank you both.
I'm not used to paparazzi. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman, for allowing me the opportunity in your meeting. And I was really inspired by listening to the way you conduct the meeting and the various contributions from the members. Thank you, and continue to do well.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you, all of you. So, Wayne, you got a tough act to follow, man, but you're up.
Well, it made me think, before I speak about what I was going to come up here for, I sat on a community board in Staten Island for 10 years, Community Board 3 on the South Shore, and that's a tough room, believe me. But seeing everybody up here for the last several years, you have a great crew. And they may come and go, but it's always a great crew. This community board is a wonderful community board, and you should be lucky to have this community board. I just wanted to say that. The East Midwood Jewish Center is proud to host the monthly meetings. We've been transitioning over the last several years. We're still a synagogue, but we're also a community center. We have a swimming pool. It's now, our basement is under renovation. Come around April 1st, it will be open. We have all brand-new locker rooms, new ventilation. The pool's going to look beautiful. So I invite everybody to come and swim. We're going to have a swim instruction program called Take Me to the Water, giving swim instruction for all ages. We just started a new dance program here last week. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 7. It's an outside vendor, and there's flyers downstairs. We have a gymnastics program, which is 4 days a week. Flyers are downstairs. We have a senior center here every day, 5 days a week. Contact the senior center. We have a lot to offer. So if anybody ever needs anything, come reach out, come say hello. We're also starting our 100th year campaign. We have a capital campaign. We just put a brand new boiler in costing $600,000. We're putting a new fire alarm system in, about $160,000. We're doing the basement over $250,000. I only have a couple dollars in my pocket. So there's a lot more going on, but we're here for the community. Any race, color, creed, religion, we're here for the community. So if you want to rent the room, come talk to me. If you want to have a community project and you need the room for free, come talk to me. But we also could use the community's help. We're here for the community, but when you see us advertise, I hate asking for money, but the lights are on and they're expensive. So thank you all very much. And again, enjoy your board. You have a great board.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So next up, we have Nancy Lulu, followed by Mary Kay Siri.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here.
Good evening.
I bring greetings on behalf of DA Gonzalez to everyone. I just wanted to share a press release from last week from my office. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez, together with NYPD Commissioner Tisch, announced last week that 14 alleged members of the 59 Brems and Bloodhound Brems street gang from Sheepshead Bay and Coney Island were variously charged in an indictment with murder, attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder, weapon possession and related charges, In addition to the murder of a rival gang member, the defendants were variously charged in connection with 19 shooting incidents that left 9 people injured, including 4 innocent bystanders. If you're interested in this press release and would like to learn more about it, you could visit our website at brooklynda.org. I also have a couple of copies with me that I could share. I also would like to announce that our office will be holding a Black History Month event on February 19 in City Tech from 6 to 8 p.m. RSVPs are required, and flyers are in the back of the room as well. And as always, if there's anything you would like to address with the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, you could call our Action Center at 718-250-2340. And I want to conclude, as always, with thanking Community Board 14 for everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. So next up, we have Mary Kay Siri, followed by Britt.
Hi, everybody. A few events to announce. This Thursday, Assemblymember Carroll's office is partnering with OATH, Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings, at the Windsor Terrace Library from 11 to 3. So if you have any questions about any summonses or violations you've gotten from a city agency, this is a great opportunity to see if you have any options. On Thursday, March 6th, we're hosting New York City Department of Finance from 10 to 1 at our office in Park Slope. And they'll be helpful with questions you might have or assistance that you need on everything from your real estate taxes to freezing rent for seniors and other benefits. And you can call our office to make a one-on-one appointment with them. And then finally, on Monday, March 31st, we're going to have the MetroCard bus in front of our office, and things like reduced fare MetroCards for seniors and all things related to MetroCards. You can do all that business there then, and that's going to be from 10 to 2. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mary Kay. So next up, we have Britt Bird, followed by Emily Wakim and Taisha Allen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. He wishes everyone a happy Black History Month. I have 6 announcements, and I've got flyers for most of them here. The first one is, yes, community board applications are live and open till this Friday, the 14th. All residents 16 years and older who live, work, or have a significant interest in a community can serve on the community board. If you have someone who you would like to apply, this flyer at the back has a link, it has a QR code, it has information that can be useful to them. Next is free tax prep services. There's a flyer here with the information that at Borough Hall, every Monday and Wednesday through April 9th, BP Reynoso is hosting a free tax prep session. People with incomes of $65,000 or less as a single person, or $93,000 or less with dependents, are eligible for services. This flyer has more information about what documents you would need to bring and a link for more information. You must make an appointment before coming. Ongoing is the fiscal year 26 capital applications. These are open. There's a flyer back here that looks like this. City agencies, nonprofits, cultural institutions, and public schools are all eligible. I also encourage people to click around on the website. It may not be obvious at first, but there's little tabs on the website, and if you expand it, there's more information about how to fill out the application, including YouTube videos of workshops that were held last year. And then there's more contact information to reach out to our budget director, who is happy to answer any questions. I'm also happy to refer you her way. Next, no flyer for this one, but the 2025 Borough Culture Grant Program funding application is now accepting applications for the 2025 Borough Culture Grant Program. These grants help with marketing and promotion of arts and cultural programs across the borough. 501c3 cultural organizations based in Brooklyn can apply by March 3rd at 5 p.m. Next, we have the constituent services pop-up. It was there today at Cortelyou Library. It's going to be at Cortelyou Library every other Monday through May 12th. So if you have an issue that you'd like to speak to Borough Hall's constituent services team, go through at Cortelyou Library right here in CB14. And finally, we have an upcoming event on the 20th. There's more information here. It's the Homeowners Benefit and NOPV Info Session on Thursday, February 20th. The Department of Finance and Borough President Reynoso are hosting a session on how to lower your property taxes at Brooklyn Borough Hall. The session will be held from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, February 20th. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Britt. Yeah, so next up we have Emily Wakim and Taisha Allen, followed by Ellie Slavin.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, Sean Campbell. Well-deserved honor. Happy Lunar Year to everyone who recently celebrated and all cultural holidays recently observed, including the acknowledgement of February as Black History Month. Assembly Member Ranice Michelle Hermelin sends greetings to you all and appreciates the work you continue to do for our community. We recently hosted our annual State of the District address, January 16th. It was a great success with various performances by our youth and cultural performers, including the well-renowned singer Shea Rubenstein. We also heard from our Assembly member looking forward into 2025 legislative priorities. If you were unable to attend the live recording, can be found on Assembly Member Bashar Hermelin's YouTube. Also, last week, in collaboration with FDC, Councilmember Lewis and other electeds hosted a Know Your Rights virtual workshop to ensure constituents who may be or have at-risk immigrant families were presented with the knowledge and resources on how to respond to enforcement. There were over 100 attendees in multiple languages, demonstrated English, Spanish, Haitian Creole, and French. Also, the Assembly member remains committed to advocating for policies that directly impact our district, ensuring our communities are heard at the state level as we are well into our legislative session in Albany. That is all the announcements I have because I want to introduce one of our newest team members, Emily Joachim, Director for Operations.
Hi, thank you, Taisha, for the introduction. As you said, my name is Emily Joachim, and I'm happy to announce our upcoming event happening March 6th, Thursday, March 6th, from 6 to 8 p.m., 6 to 8:30 p.m., and our reception starting at 5 p.m., and it's our Women of Distinction ceremony, and it's where we're going to honor 8 incredible women from our district, ranging in categories from community engagement and environmental activism. It will be taking place at Brooklyn College Woody Tanger Auditorium. We are still open to accepting nominations for our arts and entertainment category. So if you do know somebody, please feel free to reach out to me at joachim@NYC Assembly, or you can also call the office. There's also flyers in the back for anyone who's interested. As always, our office is here to assist you. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. And our numbers is 718-940-0428 to schedule an appointment. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you all this year.
Thank you as well. So next up, we have Ellie Slavin, followed by Brian Grady, and then Abraham Malachowski.
Good evening. My name is Ellie Slavin. I am Community Liaison for Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. So the 6th of February, we had a webinar regarding Know Your Rights. We had close to 400 people who were on the getting the information that was given to them regarding Know Your Rights. We're planning a central Brooklyn job fair with local elected officials and the New York State Department of Labor. This will be Tuesday, March 18th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Brooklyn Public Library, 10 Grand Army Plaza. And I will have some flyers at our next meeting, and also we'll be sending to the community board's website. We're located at 222 Lenox Road between Rogers and Nostrand. Our number is 718-287-1142. We deal in federal issues. There's also a lot of information on our website, clark.house.gov. Now, I keep on mentioning this. Like today alone, I had 4 calls for emergency passports. Those of you who are planning to travel, please make sure that your passports are valid 6 months. However, if you have an emergency travel and your passport is not valid, reach out to our office, and we will attempt to get you an emergency appointment at the Manhattan office, where after you go in there, after a few hours, you can walk out with your passport. However, if you are filing for a passport either through the post office or via the website, do pay the extra money for expediting and next day delivery. It's well worth it. People call and they're really, really high-strung because they don't have the passports. And Sean, congratulations on your award. Oh, you're hiding. Okay. Can I speak Chinese? Mazel tov.
Thank you very much, Elliot. So next up, we have Brian Grady and then Abraham Malachowski.
Hi, good evening. I'm Brian Grady. I'm the Director of Constituent Services for Councilmember Rita Joseph. I also want to just start by congratulating Sean on her well-deserved award and for thanking her and the rest of the staff and members of CB14 for being such a support to me and to this community more generally. Thank you all. Got a few events just to publicize. So as ever, I have some flyers in the back for these. Our office is also promoting some tax prep. This is going to be, this is also offered through the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. These are going to be located at 2221 Church Avenue, the Metro Plus location near our office, on Fridays and Saturdays. The eligibility requirements are the same as were publicized earlier, and you do just need to reach out to schedule an appointment for those, so the information is there on the flyer. Our office and some other council member offices are also going to be sponsoring an upcoming Know Your Rights campaign for immigrants. This is going to be hosted through the Metropolitan Black Bar Association on Wednesday, February 12th from 6 to 7. And if you want to RSVP for that, my colleague Rosalind's email address is on the flyer. As ever, every month we have the New York Legal Assistance Group that is going to be bringing their van to our district. So if you need any assistance with housing or public benefits, feel free to reach out to our office. I think we just filled our slots today, but if we have any cancellations or any kind of emergency issues, feel free to reach out, and we'll figure out a way to work you in. We have a few events coming up in honor of Black History Month. The first is Black Girl Magic. This is going to be a celebration at Council Chambers on Monday, February 10th. The RSVP list is on the flyer. This is going to be sponsored by our office, along with Councilmember Lewis's office and a number of their colleagues. Councilmember Joseph is going to be doing 2 different storytime events for Black History Month. One is going to be on Friday, February 21st. And that's at the Brooklyn Public Library Flatbush branch at 22 Linden Boulevard. That's going to be from 11 to 12. And then another on that Saturday at 10:30, Saturday the 22nd at Lofty Pigeon Books at 743 Church Avenue. And last but not least, we are going to be sponsoring a clergy breakfast. That's going to be on Thursday, February 27th from 9:30 to 12. So this is, an opportunity for fellowship, reflection, and collaboration across all faiths in our district. So if you or anyone you know wishes to RSVP for that, you can call our office or email the address on the flyer. As ever, we offer housing and immigration help at our office, as well as any concerns that you have with city agencies or any just other general community concerns. We're located at 930 Flatbush Avenue, open Monday through Thursday from 10 to 5, or you can call us at 718-287-8762. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for that, Brian. So next up, we have Abraham Malachowski, followed by Jay Topman.
Good evening. My name is Abraham. I'm Director of Outreach and Community Engagement for the Office of Councilmember Farah Lewis. I'd like to begin, like those before me, in congratulating Sean on your award, and also I'd like to say we are very, very sorry for your loss. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year as well, all who celebrated, as well as a happy Black History Month. And I hope everybody who watched the Super Bowl enjoyed it. For what it's worth, I personally did not. On January 31st, our office, in partnership with the Office of the New York City Public Advocate, hosted a walkthrough of 2500 Nostrand Avenue to highlight the deplorable conditions in the building. There are leaking walls, peeling paint, flickering lights, illegal conversions, and numerous other issues. The building has over 300 violations. We hope that shining a spotlight on these issues will help them be rectified quickly. Additionally, this morning, Councilmember Farrah Lewis hosted a meeting for principals within our district. The purpose of this meeting was to let principals know what resources are available for them in terms of capital funding. We did it in partnership with the Brooklyn Borough President's Office and the School Construction Authority. We thank them both for their partnership. Also, on February 28th, our office will be hosting our 4th annual Unapologetically Black event. This celebration will showcase the achievements of African Americans, so stay tuned for some exciting surprises because we have some very cool people who are going to be there. Stay tuned. It is going to take place on the 28th in the Brooklyn Museum. As Taisha mentioned, our office did a Know Your Rights seminar. We had over 130 people on the call. We are very, very thankful for all of our partners, including the Flatbush Development Corporation, COPO, Halani, and Catholic Charities. Additionally, the property tax exemption deadline is on March 15th. Our office will be hosting an in-person event on February 24th. The exact location will be announced. For more information, please contact our office. I have flyers over there in the back. Lastly, discretionary funding. We have 9 days left to apply for discretionary funding if that is something that you're interested in, so don't let the opportunity go to waste. As always, our office is located 1434 Flatbush Avenue. We are open Monday to Fridays, 9 to 5. You can either walk in or contact us by calling us at 718-629-2900. I actually have to run, so I will not be hanging around afterwards, but if you have any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to reaching out to our office. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abraham. And next up, we have Jay Taubman. Yes, it is.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Greetings from Brooklyn Public Library. I am Jay Taubman. I work at the Cortelyou branch. I'm adult librarian, ABM there. I am going to give you a couple of quick developments. So one thing is that we are going to have a support group for caregivers of children starting February 21st from 11 to 12 o'clock in our meeting room. So any caregivers of children are invited to join that group. The flyer is in the back. Also, we're going to have Ready Set Kindergarten starting in March. So again, I put some flyers in the back. And also, we are going to have, we now have Borough President Reynoso's office every other Monday. Today we had it, so the next one is going to be 2 weeks from today. And we have that from approximately 10:15 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening, every other Monday at the Cortelyou branch. And I want to wish everybody a happy belated New Year and a happy Lunar New Year to those who celebrated that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I thank the members of the public for coming out tonight because it's always great to hear new programs and also hear the updates. And this concludes the public comment period. And so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right. So this adjourns the meeting at 9 p.m.
Huh? Yes. Okay. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Here. Thank you so much. You're welcome.